New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
9-year Nolan.
And this is episode 450.
Dang.
That's a lot. That's a lot of episodes.
In the past, when we were younger, there would be a lot of energy there, maybe those horns,
Woo!
and
Yeah,
we'd
like we
be excited.
scream.
We're
Yeah.
older men now, and we're kind of just resting in
Yeah, I just kind
the
of don't care.
joy of the season.
Yeah, I don't care.
No,
I'm
well,
too
no,
cool. I'm too cool
we-
for it now. You
Okay,
know?
right. We do.
I
care.
have 9 reasons to be just as excited as I've ever been, but I'm not gonna tell them to.
Yeah, just
Thanks.
write them in a blog, and we'll check them out later.
Yeah.
This is our
Blog.
9th anniversary of our weekly gaming podcast.
Never missed an episode.
That's when we
Unironically.
started. When we started this podcast in 2015, we lived in different states. Kenny was not yet married,
No.
and Nolan's voice still cracked. In fact, I wanted to bring this up, Nolan.
Rude.
Well, no, I mean, not because it was adorable, and the thing is, it wasn't just cracking in 2015. Your voice continued to, kind of slip every once in a while for the longest time, and I loved it. And I've noticed as I was preparing for this episode that I haven't heard that in a couple of years.
You make it sound like we were podcasting with him when he was like 13.
Nolan's voice continued to crack long after puberty.
Yeah, it wasn't a puberty thing. I don't know.
Is it gone?
I don't know. I
He's
kind of
just
never
settled.
noticed it when it
Wow.
happened anyways.
Wow.
But no, I don't know.
Well,
I'll try to
Things
bring it
that
back.
Maybe he's got one like loaded up in the chamber for
all
you.
right, fingers crossed.
Maybe I'll just hit you with one. Nah, it'll be forced.
All that to say, there have been a lot of changes in the last 9 years of our podcast, and we are not going to talk about any of them today, because what this episode is going to be about is hanging out with you, our beloved community. That is what
best
New
friends.
Game Plus is all about. We play retro video games, but we don't play retro video games in isolation. What is that? A loser. We play it with friends, family, community. We play it with all of you. So throughout this episode, we're going to have 20 or so, we might have snuck a few more in, of you
Hey.
call in and pitch the game that you would like us to play for the first week of year 10
You're 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
of our retro video game podcast. Before we get there, I have a question of the week.
Hit me.
What game surprised you most in year 9?
There weren't a lot.
There
honestly.
weren't a lot of games, or a lot of games
Surprises.
that surprised you?
There
Okay.
weren't a lot that surprised
Okay.
me. I went back and looked, and a lot of them I knew about already.
I had 4 that came to mind.
Okay.
4.
I can just tell you my 4, and then you guys can help me pick.
Okay.
You can help me inform my opinions. One of them I don't want to answer because it was fairly recent, and by fairly recent I mean we literally just played it. Tecmo Super Bowl was a complete surprise for me.
Okay, you hadn't
Um,
played
It's a
it.
surprise.
I hadn't played
That's
it.
great.
And there is another older sports game that when people said Tecmo Super Bowl is what I thought of. I forget what, but one of the like really early NES titles. It may not have even been football, but like people said that title and it conjured up a different game in my mind. So it was a complete surprise to me.
It's great.
How the game and the format, how fleshed out it was, how good it looked. We gushed about it last week. Y'all can go listen to that episode. But that one was a total out of left field game for me. Typing of the Dead. Wild, weird, shouldn't worked so well, and that's just like self-explanatory.
That was almost my
surprise.
answer, Kenny. That was a good
Yeah, Kirby's Dream Course.
Boo.
I thought
Great
we were
game.
gonna just get like, I don't know, weird like golf game, and then it was something else
Puzzle.
completely, and it was really surprising. And Left 4 Dead, hadn't played it.
one. Oh,
I knew it was popular.
Those are
but
good
I didn't
answers.
like. I had so much fun with it, and they surprised me. I don't know which one surprised
Typing
me
of
the
the
most.
Dead is
Typing of the
is the
Dead,
answer.
probably.
Typing of the
from
Dead.
from that.
Especially
forum. Yeah,
because
so that'll be my answer.
for some reason you played in British.
Chinese?
I don't know. No,
Oh, British.
British. Yeah, he had all these like English spellings, and he was really mad about that with the
Old
U's.
English.
Uh,
Ye old. He was talking
ye
You
about
old.
did
ye
too. You did too, and just didn't notice.
No,
it.
never
Yeah.
happened. Nolan,
He was in King James.
You know all of the games, is what you told us already. But
Yeah.
if there was one
I
that
don't know all of them.
knocked your socks off,
It was.
Surprised you. It,
it
didn't
could have
have to be
surprised you in a
positive.
bad way.
This was the
Right.
one where I was like, oh yeah, that was a complete surprise because I assumed the worst. It was Hot Shots, Golf, Open Tee, or Everybody's Golf, depending on where you are in the country.
Both of y'all have golf games as
We
your
both have golf
submissions.
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, because I was like, well, here we go. This is going to be stupid. And it was in the best way. It was actually fun. And I got New Game Plus.
Well, mine is Killer 7. And I'm surprised that wasn't Nolan's because Killer 7.
I knew it was going to be up my alley, though.
Y'all liked it more than I did. It's
Sure.
a little too weird.
But
for
again,
me.
this question is not about like, it's about surprise.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
that game, all I knew was that it had been pitched before. It was pitched at our 8-year anniversary that by a couple of people. That was my only relationship with it. I knew nothing about it. It was so weird and so like art house, and
Yeah.
I loved it like so much. It surprised me, shocked me how different of a game it is, but still held up for what they were going for. You don't often get games where you're like, these people, they didn't really care what everyone else thought. They were making a game for themselves and they loved it, and
Yep.
that's fun.
Yeah. The reason it wasn't my answer is because I knew I was going to like it. So it didn't surprise me. I got what
I
expected.
figured it was going to be Dustin's answer. It does not surprise me that it surprised you the most.
We would love to know your answer to the question, what game surprised you most in year 9? This week in our Discord, there will be a whole channel there dedicated to the question of the week. Drop in and let us know what game surprised you most in year 9. Speaking of year 9, we have Stats by Amarlian.
Stats by Marlian.
Shane usually gives us some casual stats for when we do pool parties and when we do Patreon pools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Amarlian always gives us this annual collection of stats on how the season went. So here are a few highlights. And actually, Amarlian, we should drop this in the Discord this week so everybody can kind of just peruse through these numbers. But the console that was most selected, most played from year 9, from season 9, PC is at the top. Not a surprise. It's always
Really?
up there. But the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 creeped up and took second place over
Took second place.
NES.
Okay.
NES had always
Nice.
been up there.
Yeah.
PS1, PS2,
Wow.
both eclipsed the NES.
Dude, PC is surprising to me, though, because it doesn't feel that way. I don't
I
feel
feel
like
like
It's
it might
just
be
got so
surprising to
much
you every time.
longevity.
Yeah, that's it.
You know?
I also
all of these
if
others
it-
are like a set number of years, and PC is
Yeah.
the whole entirety
Well,
of our existence.
the whole
if
kit and
it's
caboodle.
on another console, I usually play the console instead of the PC version.
Sure you do. But we played a lot of PC games if you go back
Okay.
and look through them. The genre that we played most is still platformer. Platformer every season.
Always.
This one we had 9 platformers. But our second one, and this shouldn't surprise you either because we had a big conversation about it earlier this year, ARPG. We had a lot of action RPGs.
Yeah, however you want to define
Yeah,
it.
however you
Whatever
want to
that means
define
to
that.
you.
So that was at 7, and then right behind that, action adventure at 6.
Yeah, not surprising. so
Marlene
many
had some
platformers.
difficulty figuring out genres this season because we had a lot of games that kind of like were their own thing.
Yeah, like
Right.
the DS game.
The LSD one was
whoa.
its own.
Yeah.
Golly, yeah, that one. Probably a better example.
There's a few. We played 53 games this year. That is actually absurd. I don't know how we did it. Well, one is
know,
that
huh?
we spent there's a little bit longer of a window, okay? Well, it's still to 450, but we had a few other extra things in there. We played 2 games at the start. It was Portal and Kirby, so that affects it. But before this year, we had only played So last season, 46, it was our all-time low.
Why did that
49,
happen?
49 in season 7, 50 in season 6. So this year we played the most games that we've ever played in any particular season. 53. Wow. We voted on 44 of them. Still our highest number. We don't vote on guest episodes, director episodes, special episodes, things like that. So out of those 44 games, listen, this is what's so sad. Only 19 of those received NGP status, guys.
Summer of
No,
weird.
that feels right.
It was summer of weird.
43%. That is an all-time low.
Dang.
That's still like respectable.
But that's representative of how I personally feel about this last year. I feel like
absolutely. It's been a strange one.
Yeah.
Y'all say that, but the craziest thing is both of y'all gave NGP more often than I did. So I'm the curmudgeon here. Kenny gave it the most at 48%. Nolan gave it the second most at 45%. And I was at 34%. I had a terrible year.
Snooty pants.
Terrible year of games.
Yeah.
I always wondered just how snooty your pants
Well, okay,
were. And now we know.
Talking
That's the
about hot
snootiness.
shots, that's a good example. Kenny and I did give that one. Dustin didn't, and we got a lot of hot shot golfs this year.
I think I probably
Well,
also
yeah.
didn't give the Kirby one. So like I had
Really?
issues this year. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you hate on Kirby. That's a different story.
Out of the 19 games that received NGP status, only 11 did we all agree that it was NGP. Only 11.
Wow. Man, there's some conflict this year.
Yeah. So look, 9 had the year of weird. It wasn't it just a summer of weird?
It was the summer of weird, but it kind of spilled over.
It kind of spilled over. We will have to wait and see what year 10 is going to bring. Maybe it's just a year of only good games, one after another. Whatever game is selected,
highly unlikely.
whatever game is selected from your call-ins will dictate how good or bad this year is balanced.
We're Groundhog Day in it.
Yeah, and that also
judging the whole
explains-
year.
That explains
Okay.
last year because of course it was weird because we selected 2. That's not normal.
It's not.
We broke the rules, so
It was our fault. This year, it will be yours. Our first call-in is a duo, which that's interesting. I don't know if we've had that before. Maybe we've had father and son.
Someone
but-
brought their child. But
Yeah.
this is not that.
Well, you don't know. This is Jack and Connor, and guys, I think you know, but we've got a theme like we did last year, but this theme for this year is 9 out of 10. What is your 9 out of 10 game? Your pitch. You will make your pitch. You will have the floor, and then we will either, depending on how good or not good your pitch is, we will put in that many entries of your pitch into the randomizer. And hopefully your game will be selected as the first game for Season 10. So, guys, introduce yourself. How'd you find out about New Game Plus? And why are you two joining us together? Is it a father-son thing?
Yes, this is my son right here. No, we are both calling from Nashville, down here in Tennessee. I think I found it a couple years ago searching for video game music. Can't remember which episode. But then I showed it to Connor briefly after. And
this guy put me on.
we are up to date. So,
What a good man.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What a good man.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're ready. Give us the first pitch. Make it a good one.
First pitch coming in hot. We're not talking no little GBA games anymore. We're going to the big leagues. Big leagues. Yeah.
Big stuff.
Yeah.
See, we're talking about a game where you place blocks.
Blocks.
A game where you mine
Minecraft.
blocks.
Yeah.
We're talking about the highest selling game of
Yep.
all time.
Boom. Yep. We're talking
about Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Yeah.
We're talking about a game that I've never played before.
Whoa, that is crazy.
Dudes, I hope with everything within me that this game gets picked.
Nolan, you literally were trying to get us to play Minecraft
day.
unrelated to the podcast,
The other day,
just
yeah.
for like life and fun.
I think
like
it's
3
one of the
days
best
ago.
games ever
Yeah.
made.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I really think that. And
I've
want
admittedly got something wrong with me where I think it's a baby's game. That's me. That's on me. All right.
yeah, that's on you. Dude, you're going to play it and your eyes will be open. So, okay, why are y'all choosing Minecraft over any of the other games?
That's a good question.
We're very passionate about.
Yeah.
We're passionate Minecrafters here.
We love crafting.
Mhm.
And money.
Yeah.
For sure.
Shout out Steve.
And Alex too. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Don't forget Alex. Yeah, wait. Which one of y'all Steve? Which one's Alex?
We're both Steve.
Yeah.
Both Steve.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we play, can we hop into your server? Is that how?
Ooh,
Yeah. Hey.
yeah.
Do y'all have a server?
Got a realm. Yeah,
We have a
got
realm you can join. Yeah.
A realm, yeah, a realm.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your pitch. Thank you guys for listening to us and for being a part of this special episode. And thank you, Jack, for turning Connor on to New Game Plus as well.
Arthur, welcome back to this special 9-year anniversary of NGP. Can you hear us? Are you there?
Hello, I can hear you, and I'm very excited to be back on. I think I've actually, this might be my third time hopping
so.
into an anniversary event
That-
here.
That sounds right. Yeah, we've definitely had you on a few times, and we're glad you have. We've picked your brain on a few things throughout the year, so I want to ask before we get started with the question for the week: do you own any NGP merchandise?
No, he doesn't.
Unfortunately, I don't. I feel
That's
like I
all right.
should.
No, there is no
well, have a good
obligation.
day.
We
See
want
ya.
people to wear what they want to wear.
Hey, and we don't. Hey, Kenny, do you own any merchandise from
That's a
Arthur's
good question.
podcast?
Hey, I do not.
No one thought I was
Um,
asking if you owned any merchandise from NGP's
For ours,
podcast.
yeah. That's also
Which
a no.
I do, so that's
Yeah,
but no, really it was just an excuse to remind people that we have merch while we're
Nice.
early in the episode. The more important question, what game for you is a 9 out of 10? Something that's almost perfect, but maybe not quite for some reason? Let's hear your pitch.
Well, for me, I'll have to pick Super Mario Sunshine here, a game that I have plenty of love for. Such a creative and vibrant game. I mean, come on, you've got blood, how iconic that little fun little thing is, the score, a different world you can explore, like Bianco Hills and Pina Park. So fun, but the camera work can get janky for that game. So janky, and just messes you up sometimes, makes you lose your lives. And also, I guess maybe I can also throw in the boat section right at the end. That can be troublesome to go through, but otherwise, you know what that is? Yes, it is a 9 out of 10 game for me. So much love for it, so much nostalgia.
Arthur, am I correct that this has been the same game you've pitched to us every time you've called in?
Yes,
Yeah.
I managed to fit it in, and it was just the same.
He's like, I can spin
He
this
is-
to make it with 8.
Yeah,
I can
Arthur's
spin it
like,
with
Absolutely.
Please play my game.
I love it. I love that you stick to your
I'm
guns.
surprised. I'm surprised you haven't played it yet, but
Yeah?
hopefully someday.
It'll come up eventually for sure, given enough time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Math is on your side.
Thanks for your pitch,
Thanks
Arthur.
for the pitch.
Hey, Tens, welcome to the 9-year anniversary. Is this your first time pitching?
It is my first time pitching. Can you guys hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear
can.
you great.
Okay.
Did you find out about us just this year?
Yeah, I've been
Or did you just
listening since about February or March.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, welcome. Welcome to the 9-year. This is a fun little thing that we do, and we just want to know, what's your 9 out of 10 game?
Okay. First of all, shout out to Sasser. I think he mentioned this game in the chat the other day. So great minds
Oh.
think alike.
Shout
Yeah.
out.
So this game, it's a typical awesome early to mid '90s SquareSoft title. So you're off to a good start there. It's one of
Dustin's hyped.
it's one of the best looking and sounding games on the system that it's on, in my personal opinion. In fact, it's one of the few games I've ever played where the music and the tone they just absolutely carry this game so far. And but to add to that, I mean, it's got fun, engaging combat, and I'm reading my notes here. I can't even read my own notes. So the sonic and visual feedback from taking down bosses and enemies is extremely satisfying. It's almost unrivaled. And you guys have played many of these games on the podcast, and they're generally well received by you guys. So that's kind of like the pros I've listed down. And I'm going to go ahead and pitch the game and then tell you why I think it's brought down a notch. So the game is Secret of Mana. There are a few small issues that kind of take it down. You've got some like AI clunkiness. The story is choppy. Like literally, they cut content from it before it like landed in the hands of gamers. There is the one thing that makes it almost intolerable is that you have, to me, is that you have limited inventory space. And when I say that,
Worst.
you can only carry 4 of any item at any given time. And it's
Any?
any given like unless there's some secret, no pun intended, that I just haven't found out about. So like it's tolerable with healing items because you have a couple options. So at least you can have like 8 healing items at a time for that, as far as healing. But for a game that is that kind of revolves around casting mana pretty consistently, there's only one MP replenishing item, and again, you can only carry 4 at any time. So now later you
That's rough.
do get a spell that kind of it's like MP absorb. So it's later on it's not as bad, but this game is just awesome, guys. I mean, you guys have to play it. I just played it like a year or so ago for the first time. I've only played it once, but again, mana games are pretty awesome. So I think you guys will really like it.
We will add it. And it's funny to me that that's the one we haven't played.
Yeah, this is
Like
the Seiken
the one.
Densetsu series. So like we loved Seiken Densetsu 3. Is that
Yeah,
what we played?
3.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm very.
And then we played Final Fantasy Adventure, which started this whole thing. So
Yeah,
All the random ones. Yeah, we'll add it, Tense. Thanks for your submission.
yeah, absolutely, and congrats, guys.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
thanks,
Appreciate it.
man.
Thanks so much.
Eddie,
Hey guys, what's happening?
What is
Hey.
up, Smashing Bricks Retro
good
Gaming
to
Podcast?
have you rejoining us. Before you do your pitch, what is your podcast's most recent game?
Oh, good question.
My podcast's most recent game is Banjo-Tooie. Banjo-Tooie.
sequel.
Many people would call that a 9 out of 10. But,
Yeah, they might.
Spoiler alert, we didn't love it.
Ooh, was
So
it,
that's not what you're going to be pitching today, I'm assuming.
No,
Okay.
definitely not.
is Banjo-Tooie even 15 years old or older? Probably.
Yeah.
Was it in
Yeah.
64?
yeah,
also?
it's
Yes.
24 years old. Yeah.
Hey,
It's in
did that new like re-envisioned Banjo game that's not
Yeah.
Banjo that came out? Did that fall flat?
I think people liked it.
Did
Some
they like
did.
it?
I didn't play.
Yeah, I feel like it was mixed.
Yeah, it's mixed reviews probably.
Because it's different. My guest actually said it was kind of like a proto Tears of the Kingdom because a lot of it is building vehicles to accomplish different goals. I never played it.
Weird.
To be honest.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not your game. Your game is a different game that you're about to tell us. Game. So
Yeah.
what's your 9 out of 10 game? Give us your pitch.
Okay, so I thought about so many, and then some of them I didn't do because like didn't want to do horror, didn't want to scare Kenny, blah blah blah.
Thank you.
So I decided to give Dustin a gift.
Oh.
This is a game that came out in 2007. Hey, 7 plus 2 is 9. Remember last year? So this is Assassin's Creed, the first game.
Yes.
It's 15 years.
And I mean, to me, it was a perfect 9 out of 10. I rated it a 9 out of 10. I reviewed that game in 2007.
Oh, nice.
And Famitsu gave it a 9999 across their 4 reviewers.
Wow. There you go.
GameSpot gave it a 9 out of 10. Game Informer gave it a 9.5 out of 10. So there
You're
were some
making a
others
great
that were
case for
lower.
this submission.
Yeah. Also, I feel like Assassin's Creed 2 was a 10 out of 10, and Assassin's Creed 1 was kind of the foundation for what became a 10 out of 10 later. It was their first try, and it started all these different elements of Assassin's Creed and what we've known Assassin's Creed to become. Although now I don't really know. It's gone in a whole other different direction where people, talk trash about some of the open
Yeah,
world
man,
design.
I think so.
But it had that initial the traversal that they were coming off of Sands of Time with, and then they opened it up to the open world. They built out all the structures in the world so that every physical handhold in the architecture was climbable, and that was the first time that ever happened. It's hard to remember the beginnings of it, right? Because we've had so many, but when it happened, it felt like, holy wow, this is amazing what they're doing here. the hype was so intense also leading up to it, following all the Prince of Persia games. You know, it came out after Two Thrones, and it had all the stealth, like the social stealth going through the crowds, which was amazing. You didn't really have a lot of that. You had the combat that became, you know, it was the Assassin's Creed combat, but it also became popularized by Arkham Asylum, right? It's kind of the same thing, that counter-attacking combat where you're kind of waiting, and it was amazing at the time with just the regular fighting as well as the assassinations themselves. So I think it's a really great game. It's got a lot of super cool mechanisms, mechanics that make it a solid 9 out of 10.
I think that's some solid reasoning. Assassin's Creed definitely has some aging issues. You know, you play it today in retrospect, and there's some clinkiness or whatever. But I think your argument for
Repetition.
You've got to remember for how it was then. Like, this was groundbreaking.
Pretty
at the time.
foundational.
Yeah, 2007, just like a couple years into that generation, the 360 PS3 generation, it was really showcasing a lot of the technology and a lot of the hardware capabilities that were now possible in that generation, which turned out to be an amazing generation for gaming in general.
Well, thank you for your
one.
pitch, Eddie. We'll put Assassin's Creed. Whew, that's going to be a big one.
It's going
I
on
know.
the
Look
list.
at you smiling. Dustin's like, yes, I want this one.
Well, the newest Assassin's Creed has been delayed, so I need to play some Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
So.
There you go.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks.
You got it, brother.
See ya.
Thank you.
Lucas, welcome to NGP. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Kenny. How are you doing?
I'm well. In honor of our 9-year anniversary, can you give me the best guess as to what video game you played the most when you were 9 years old?
What?
Oh,
Love it.
9. That's a good question. I am gonna guess. I probably owned a Nintendo 64 back then. So I think it was like a Star Wars pod racing game. I remember playing that one a lot.
Okay, that's a great answer. Some of those games were, especially for kids, were a lot of fun. Those
are renters.
Don't go listen to our episode on that.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I don't think I've heard it, but I found you guys looking for Digimon World content. You guys.
Okay.
Kind of cut that game apart.
Hey, that's
people,
the game.
that happens all the time where people are like, "Here's a thing I love," and you hated it.
Yeah,
but
when it's a
we learned
niche
about
game
each
that we've
other
ripped,
together.
Dude, I love that game, but it has a lot of issues. It's okay. I forgive you.
Well, we're glad it brought you to the podcast. Let's hear your pitch for the game that, in your mind, is a not quite perfect 9 out of 10.
Absolutely. So my game is SSX Tricky.
Ooh, I love that game.
Yeah, I figured you might. It has a lot of heavy techno sound to it.
It's best soundtrack.
Best soundtrack. Well, almost best soundtrack.
Nice.
So SSX Tricky is an amazing game. It's a fantastic snowboarding game. You get to do a lot of fun tricks, and it's really cool and over the top and colorful. And it would be a 10 out of 10 were it not for the fact that there is a little game that came out after called SSX3. And SSX3 is better in every way, even the soundtrack.
Okay, so is this technically SSX2?
Yes.
Oh, I see. I never knew that. I didn't know that.
Which you got to be really careful with, or people will read it as SS12. I don't.
That was a Roman numeral joke?
It was a Roman numeral joke, and it was uncalled for.
I love it. You can keep them coming.
Tell us more about this game.
Like I said, has a great soundtrack. Has literally. I wonder if the game was named after the song. Let's get a rock around.
Run
Tricky.
DMC. It's tricky.
Yeah, Run. Yeah,
It's Run DMC. Yeah.
Tricky.
An amazing soundtrack. It's super fun to play with friends. You know, couch co-op might be a little outdated,
Absolutely.
unfortunately, but it is what it is. Just love doing those tricks, man. And the 90s,
Awesome.
like that hardcore, like it came out in 2001, right?
The
But it
vibes
has
are
such
on point. Yeah.
They are so 90s. They are so 90s. It is the ultimate cool guy from the 90s vibe.
We've only played one snowboarding game, if I
Snowboard Kids.
am correct.
Dustin
I
Snowboard
didn't
even
play
play it.
Kids. Right. And so
So-
Dustin needs to get caught up altogether, and we need to redeem that. So this would be a great game. Thanks,
Thanks for the
thanks
submission,
for the
Lucas.
pitch.
Hey, Gringe, welcome to the show. Welcome to the 9-year anniversary. How are you doing?
Hey guys, thanks for having me again. Happy birthday to your great podcast. I'm really excited to be back.
Thanks.
Did
Yeah,
you bring
appreciate that.
gifts or?
Yes, 9 out of 10 game.
Empty words.
Oh,
Hit us with the 9 out of 10
hey!
gifts. What is it? What's your pitch?
I just want to tell you something about it. It's an action RPG made by Squaresoft for the Super Nintendo in 1993. It's the second entry in a somewhat legendary series, and you already played the first and the third game, and it got NGP status all across the board, so I hope that gets you excited. The story follows a boy that finds a sword embedded in a stone and is then banned from his village. On his way to restore the sword's power, he's joined by 2 companions that you can play, and a friendly white dragon to carry them across the world. And as in every good role-playing game, they have to save the world sooner or later. What's unique about this game is it's very bright, it's very colorful, and it has a great soundtrack. A lot of people also here on the Discord have nostalgia for it, so that's pretty cool. But one of the best and unique features is that you can play it with 2 friends in couch co-op, which I hope you get the chance to. But besides that, it also has one thing for every one of you. For Dustin, this game came out with a guide packed, so you could look everything up that you need to know. For Nolan, artwork and music are really phenomenal. And for Kenny, it's a sequel. Well, my only real
It's
gripe
the
is...
trifecta.
Yeah, my only real gripe with it is that I never could finish it because my physical copy is broken and freezes near the end of the game. So I hope to get the chance to revisit
Oh
it.
my gosh, that's unacceptable.
if it gets pulled, will you commit to playing through the full game finally?
Yeah, luckily it's been released on anything with a display and also on the classic mini console. And there's even a remake from 2018 in full 3D.
Oh wait, what's it called? I still
He hasn't.
I
he
forgot
hasn't
you haven't
dropped
told
it
us.
yet.
Yeah, he
He's
hasn't,
building up.
he's getting
Yeah,
there.
it's the sequel
Hold your
to
horses.
Final Fantasy Adventure, and it's called Secret of Mana.
Nice.
This may or may not be the first time this has been submitted into the list
For the 9-year anniversary.
for the 9-year anniversary.
So you might have extra.
Chances.
Wait.
Yeah.
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 So let me get it straight.
Yeah.
It is a 9 out of 10. It gets bumped down from a 10 out of 10 because your copy was corrupted.
Exactly. So let's make it a 10.
It's fine. Okay. All right.
Completely fair. Awesome. Thank you, Grinch. Thank you for
Yeah,
your
thanks,
submission.
Grinch.
Thanks for being a part.
Thank you for having me. Have a great show. Have a great year.
Hello, Andre. Welcome to the 9-year anniversary call-in spectacular. How did you find out about New Game Plus? You've been around for a while.
I have been, and congratulations on 9 years of great and consistent work, guys. You guys are great.
Thank you.
I actually found you, I think, when you did like a Cool Spot episode or James Bond, probably, which was those kinds of bad games, you know?
Why were you searching for those 2 games?
I don't know, man. I played them as a kid, and I had a lot of bad games as a kid, so, but we had to play them.
I love to imagine some, I don't know, 20, 30-year-old, whatever, at some point being like, man, I remember James Pond. Let me search Spotify to see if anything's happening in the
And
James
you're like, there's
Pond
no
world."
way. Hour-long episode
Hour-long
about this game.
episode
Yes,
in
please.
2023. Yeah, that's
Look,
crazy.
It was basically that, but it was really entertaining, and it's stuck
So
around
good.
since then.
Well, we're glad that you're here, and we're excited to hear your 9 out of 10 pitch.
Oh, okay. So it's a game for a system with virtually no representation in North America, which makes it a great way to find some, I don't know, hidden gems, although I can hardly call this one a hidden gem. So, Master System. Here we go. Are you scared? Halloween's around, so it's a Sonic game.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
It's a retro Sonic game, so it's when the games are good, I think.
He still hates those.
And it still makes those. But in '91, we had the Sonic 1 for the Genesis, and it was expected to make a downgraded port for the Master System. But the thing is, you remember the handheld Game Gear? It was released in the same year, and they thought, what if we make a Sonic game specifically for the Game Gear instead of making a port? So they made one, and I think it was the last game that released for the Master System in North America, because the console disappeared after that. So it probably doesn't have much expression. I think it would make for a good game. It was made by a company that was created specifically for this game, but made many games after this one. Two of those which you played recently on the podcast. You remember Beyond Oasis?
Yeah.
And not that good. I played it as well. But he made the second game he made, the one after this one, was a 10 out of 10 game. Streets of Rage 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you can thank this Sonic game for that if you like it. I like it very much. The guy was known for making songs, and he was a composer, Kojiro. And Streets of Rage 2 is spectacular on that front. All the Streets of Rage games. He made Shenmue as well, the composing part. Yeah. And some those fighting games, Nintendo, I remember, Super Smash Brothers. He made Brawl, and he was a participant in this list one, the Ultimate. But he made a company just for this game. His mother was a co-founder. His sister was the art director. It was a crazy
All in the
time
family.
back then. And he made a Sonic one. And I can tell you, it's a 9 out of 10 game. It has some flaws. It has an amazing soundtrack. It can only be because it was from him. He made some arrangements of some original Sonic 1 songs from the Mega Drive, the Genesis. But he made a lot of original soundtracks and a lot of original level designs. I remember an episode you guys made on Sonic Chaos. It was for the Master System. It's not as good. It's a weird Sonic game. And I remember you guys were a little divided on the game, and I think it didn't ended up receiving MGP. But you have to, if you ever play this one, even if it's not picked, I think it's a great game to play. But you have to remember, it's an 8-bit console. It's not going to be, it's not going to be fast, maybe quick. Gotta go quick, I don't know. But it's a Sonic game focused on exploration. So,
it's called Sonic 1, correct?
Yeah, Sonic 1, the same thing, and it confuses many people because of that.
Yeah.
But it's a different game.
In fact, I think I reached out to you and I was like, "Hey, we played Sonic," and you're like, "Different game."
Different game. Yeah.
Is
the
this,
one is its own thing.
This is for the Master System, but it's the same game that was on the Game Gear.
Sorry, it's the Game Gear. It's like a little downgrade, in graphics, but it's virtually the same game. Oh, really?
On the Game Gear.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're familiar, Nolan.
Okay,
fine.
Maybe.
Awesome.
We'll see.
Well, we haven't played Sonic in a minute. In fact, I don't know if we played a Sonic this last season.
I don't think we did. It's been a while.
We didn't.
Yeah.
So we'll be sure to add Sonic 1 into the randomizer. Thanks, Andre, for your submission, and thanks for supporting the show.
Yeah, thank you guys. You guys are great. Thank you.
Scotty, welcome to the 9-year anniversary episode.
Welcome back
of NGP. It's good to see you again.
Yo, what's up, guys? How you guys doing this morning?
Doing
Fantastic.
great.
9 out of 10.
Could be better.
Look at Dustin staying on point. Hey, I know our audience has gotten to know you a little bit, but I'd love to throw another question at you just to let them peek a little bit further behind who Scotty is. We would love to know what the most surprising game of the year was for you.
So is that like this year?
Within this last year, within our 9th year of being an episode, what game did you listen to that surprised you the most?
And you can't say Stubbs the Zombie.
You gotta take that away from me. I gotta think about this one. Honestly, which ones? Dude, it's been a while since I listened because I'm always like up to date. But I gotta think about this.
It was Tetrisphere.
Let's see.
I forgot that game until you just said it, Nolan. That was such
I don't think we played it this year.
like if I was being realistic, but I can't because it's my opinion, I would say Ninja Bread Man, but I know.
It's surprising.
It can surprise
No,
you.
that shocked
yeah,
me.
what?
You know what? I Typing of the Dead. Unfortunately I was not able to play that week, but Typing of the Dead, I didn't even know that existed, and I love how.
Yeah, it's
Totally
a good answer.
an out of left field game. That's a
Good
lot of
answer,
fun.
good answer.
And I agree with you, actually. Weird. Let us know your 9 out of 10 game that you're pitching for us to start this next year with.
All right, okay. All right, I don't know if you guys are ready for this. You know me already. But I will pitch. It is a Smash Bros. Clone. See, I would have picked a Smash Bros. Game, but that'd be too easy. And anyways, this game does have an esport. It's been around for about 3 to 4 years, I would say about. It's from a genre that you guys have covered quite a bit, or not genre, but IP, I should say. And let's just say it's a game that you played on the GBA that you guys didn't very like, but I've listened to about 100 times now. The game that I am selecting to you is called Shrek Super Slam.
All right, bye.
Dustin just writes it off immediately.
Hey, I'm in California right now, and I'm dedicating myself. I'm supposed to be at a wedding in hours, and I am dedicating myself to pitch this game.
What?
That's how you know how dedicated I am.
Hey, that's on you.
Okay, so hold on. You're saying this is a Shrek fighting game that has an esports community that is on what console?
It is on the PS2, GameCube, Xbox, and I believe PC.
Shrek.
So you're
Super
making
Slam.
this game up, right?
It's on the DS as
No,
well.
I'm not making this game up. This game's actually gained a good amount of popularity. It was like a meme at one point where like people are like putting in tier lists for the characters and everything, and it's amazing.
There's
It is my favorite thing.
I'm actually super intrigued.
There's a melee mode, King in the Hill mode, and Slamageddon. Just to let you guys
Slamageddon.
know.
And-
And he's
What's your reason for it being a 9 rather than
Yeah.
a perfect 10 out of 10?
right. Why is it a 9?
Okay, it's a 9 because there are certain characters, specifically one that is extremely overpowered, and
Donkey.
you almost literally can't counter. No, he's
Gingerbread
actually
Man.
he's actually one of the worst characters in the game. That character is Red Riding Hood,
Okay.
Of course.
This is
and
not real.
she has like an infinite combo that you literally can't counter.
Yeah.
So
That's
Hey,
unfair.
it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
But me and my brother, my sister, we played that game to death. Like, and we had so much fun. I know it sounds ridiculous, don't get me wrong, but I think if you guys played on the podcast, I certainly believe you'll be very surprised.
Well, we'll make
All
sure
right.
that it's in the
Come on,
randomizer.
Slam.
This was an unexpected one, but we'll make sure it's added. Make sure you tell the bride and groom that we're proud of them.
Yeah, congratulations from us.
Yeah. Hope they make it 9 years.
Hey, this is only the second wedding I'm going to in 3 weeks, so yeah.
You're a popular man. Thanks, Scotty.
I know.
GGs.
Thank you.
Have a
Yeah.
good one.
Dag, welcome to the show.
What's up?
Hello.
Dag, what game were you searching in Spotify to find the soundtrack and accidentally found us? What game was that?
Right? No, it's funny though. I'm not a podcast person,
Rude.
but I started having to drive because I had to move,
Mhm.
and I found you guys, and me and my son have been listening to you every day for probably the
Oh.
last 3 weeks straight.
Oh,
That's
So-
sweet.
You're brand new to the podcast.
Yeah, and after week 1, I partnered with you guys because you guys are amazing.
Oh,
I love
man.
what you guys do, and so does my son.
Oh man,
So-
thanks so much. That means a lot.
Heartwarming.
Okay, 9 out of 10 game for the 9-year anniversary. What you got?
Legend of Legaia, hands down.
Straight out the gate. Okay, say it again. Legends of what?
Legend of Legaia.
Legend of Legaia.
I have
okay.
the demo disc, I think, on the
Oh.
PlayStation, right?
Yes, PlayStation,
Whoa.
1998.
Is this Square? This isn't Square, is it?
I do not believe so.
It's just
Okay.
like one of those sick RPGs, yeah.
Yep.
So why is it a 9? Tell us the 9 portion of that score, and then tell us why it gets docked a point.
So the 9, it's fun. It's easy to play, easy to pick up. at the time, graphically, it was awesome. The story was good and compelling on how they were interacting with the characters. You got your protagonist, Vaughn, and then the orphan girl, Noah, and then your little monk guy, Gala. He's shaking his head. He knows what I'm talking about. He's getting the feels out of it. They all combined together to try to save the land of this mist that has taken over. And they had to revive the sacred trees. Every time you revived a tree, the mist would dissipate in that area. But at first, the protagonist Vaughn was the only one that could go out into the area to clear the mist or beat the Sarus, is what the enemies were called. But then the best thing about this game was the combat. The combat in this game was top notch for what they were trying to do. It wasn't like I'm gonna nod to Dustin on this one. It wasn't like in Final Fantasy when you have, oh, here's your power, here's your magic, you literally had to put in button combinations, left, right, up, down, up, left. Whatever combination you would put in, it gave you the ability to unlock mystic and hyper arts, which were your combos and your special moves. And it was just so innovative.
Now Nolan's getting hyped.
Yeah, that era too is just PS1 RPG. Come on.
I have such fond memories, I already said, but I played it as a demo disc, and I remember playing that demo disc to completion multiple times just because, and I don't think I ever was able to rent or purchase the game. So, like, my experience is just that, like, hour or two from the demo.
It was so great. I literally played it 6 times, and then my dad finally bought it for me, and I was able to beat it. And it's just so, it's only like 20 hours, but still 20 hours of just involving and like it was great because it wasn't like a 100-hour game that took you forever to beat. You could literally just get into it, and just the combat's what really drew me in, because like you can hit right 10 times and you might unlock 2 new moves just by hitting the right bump, hitting the right stick, or whatever.
Well, we need your dad to buy Dustin a copy now.
Yeah, please.
That'd be awesome. But that, and then just the Sarus, the way that what they did was there was raw Sarus, which were good, and Sarus, which were bad. The raw Sarus, every time they cleared a tree, a raw Saru would come out, and the first 3 characters, it attached to them, and it gave them this ability to use the special arts and learn the mystic arts. So it was kind of innovative at the time.
Cool. Is there one thing that keeps it from being a 10, really quick?
Oh yeah. The fact that in most of these RPGs, you can have multiple characters. You can have different people in your party. Yeah. The only thing that drug this down to a 9 for me is you're stuck with the same 3 characters the entire game, even though they're great characters, but you can't add anybody new to your party.
It's kind of a pro, actually, for me, and maybe for Dustin.
Right, but reasonable.
Takes the stress out of it. Okay.
And you're right. It does, but it is like I said, that if you could add maybe 1 or 2 more characters, that game would have been like 100 out of 100 for me.
All right.
So
nice submission. Thanks for your time, Dag. What's your son's name?
Reed.
Reed. Thanks for listening to the show, buddy.
Thank you guys.
See ya.
You guys are awesome.
Romaldo, welcome to our 9-year anniversary call-in spectacular. What was the first game or episode that you listened to from our podcast?
First one was actually the actual first one. After I found out about your podcast through a couple other podcasts, so I started from the ground up. I actually just finished about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, congrats!
You are all caught up.
That's a
wonderful.
Feat.
That's a mountain to climb.
My first comment was actually Tecmo Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah,
Yes.
so you literally just caught up. That's awesome.
And are you do you drive for a living?
I don't drive. I actually work in a restaurant. Well,
Oh, okay. The
I have
reason
my
why I was
earbuds in all
asking,
the time. So
I asked because a lot of people that are able to listen so quickly, you are often drivers on the road that are able to listen. Well, we're so glad that you joined us for this anniversary special. What's your 9 out of 10 game? We're here to listen to your pitch.
my 9 out of 10 game is actually going to be Persona 3. It came out. Persona 3. It came out clearly over 15 years ago. One of the best in the series. You are going to need a good chunk of time to play it, unfortunately, but between the music, sound, everything, it's just a solid 9 out of 10. One of the only reasons it doesn't get 10 out of 10 is because it just got a remake last year. So that remake that I just finished was actually 10 out of 10. So it moved it from the 10 out of 10 to the 9 out of 10.
Okay, I have a question. This would, if let's say it gets picked, this will be all of our first Persona game. Do you have to love like anime games or anime to like get the most out of it?
Absolutely not. It's all story based and character building. You develop your relationships with your confidants and your people. I mean, the artwork is anime, but it's not basically an anime. It's more how would you explain it? Dark. It could be a dark anime, but I don't feel like you need to watch anime to be able to play the game.
I know there's many other in our community that really
Lots.
love this game and this series in particular. So, yeah, when it gets pulled, when a Persona game gets pulled, it will be very interesting because, as Nolan said, it will be all of our first.
It'll be big. Yeah, our community will like that.
Yeah, if you like story-driven games, you're definitely in for a treat because it is very emotional.
You know I like those story-driven games. Romualdo, thank you so much for being a part of this episode, and thanks for pitching Persona 3.
Awesome, guys. You guys have a good one. Thanks for what you do.
Thanks.
See you, man.
See you.
Levi, welcome to the 9-year anniversary episode.
Hello.
Good to have you.
Good to be here.
All right. First off, what's the first video game you ever remember playing?
Holy cow.
Life.
Top Gear, a racing game for the Super Nintendo. I think it was like Top Gear 2 at my Nana's house.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Fun.
Shout out Nana.
Shout out Nana.
Yeah, shout out Nanas. All the Nanas everywhere. Both sides. Let's hear your 9 out of 10 video game pitch.
Both sides of Nana.
Hey now. So
it's
this game is
reference.
super 9 out of 10 for me because I've been playing it for over 20 years on and off. Hopefully everyone else kind of enjoys it. Even if they look it up, they'll be like, this kid don't know what he's talking about. But I promise Shrek is not in it. So it's a PS1 game developed by Konami, released in 1997 in Japan, 98 in the States. It's a roguelike RPG. I didn't even really know what that meant until I looked it up, but it's called Azure Dreams. So what you do if you haven't
this game.
Okay. Story real quick. Azure Dreams is set in the desert town of Monsbaya. The town prospers because of a monster tower located over it, which is full of treasure and monsters. A skilled monster tamer named Guy, who's your dad, disappears in the tower and is never seen again. You get to enter the tower once you turn 15, so you're waiting forever, kind of like Pokemon a little bit. You know, how you have to become of age to go into the tower for riches and to prosper and to help the town. But the difference between this and Pokemon is, imagine Ash gets to pick up a stick and fight the Pokemon alongside of his Pokemon. He can bash them. So you're making your way up through the towers in the game, and each tower progressively gets harder. So you can only make it so far, and your character starts at level 1. So you have a monster with you, and there's a story that goes along with this. It's not just like, boom, you're in the tower. But you have a monster that goes with you. If you die, you lose all the items that you get inside of the tower, and you can only go into the tower with 5, and I think you can have up to 20, and you don't get to keep your money. If you find these things called a wind crystal, you get to leave the tower, keep all of your items, and not the level you have. Every time you enter, you start back at level 1. But you get to get all of your items, sell them back in the town, and you can build like a bowling alley, which is kind of weird, or like a racetrack with some of the monsters that you can find because it's a monster taming game. You can upgrade the church. Eventually, you can have a swimming place. Or a pool. So it is a city building, light dating sim, and a monster taming game. But your monsters maintain. I'm throwing so much at you.
Wait, what do you
While
date?
also,
Do you
while
date
also being a
Don't date the
roguelike
monsters.
RPG.
You date the
the
monsters
monsters?
in the tower. You take them to the top. There's a nice restaurant there and a swimming
There is a
place.
restaurant in the game, but not Well,
Do
actually,
you hear yourself,
yeah,
Levi?
hey, this is what it is. What happens, man, in the game.
I am wildly intrigued.
No, this sounds amazing.
It is so much fun.
It does.
The big highlight on this game, though, because I have the original disc, is the way I play it. I do not emulate it. There's no way to like cheat the game. Now there is, though, because you have save states. So if you're like getting a bad situation in the game and you're like, I'm going to die, I'm going to use this wind crystal to get out. Something happens, you die in the tower, you're screwed. So if you were in there for 2 hours, now your monster still maintains their level. So it wasn't all for nothing. But I think there's like 20 different monsters, 25, and the way you get them is as you're going through, it's randomly generated. You'll find an egg, maybe once every 3-4 runs, or how high you get. If you make it out of the tower with your wind crystal, you get to take that egg into your house, hatch the egg, and now you can take that monster and level them up. And you're trying to make it, I believe there's 40 levels in the tower. Another reason it's 9 out of 10, I've never beat the game.
So you can't
Okay.
confidently call it a 10 out of 10.
Right.
Yeah.
No. Well, no.
He wants
want,
to, but
He
you,
wants
but
to,
no,
he wants
Also,
you better not.
people say there's bad translation. I don't know where that comes from, because I think it's just fine. And a bad tutorial. That may be correct, but I've played the game so many times that I can just zoom through that tutorial. But I think that's why people say it's bad, because you're not forced to read every text. You can hit O and just skip right through it. So
Love it. It's the perfect era on the perfect console for me. So
Yeah, and I can't wait to date Pikachu.
thanks for your pitch, Levi.
all right, appreciate you guys. Happy 9 years.
What's up, Joe Pacoira? Welcome to the show.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good.
What are you wearing?
It's nice.
Wow.
I'm kidding. How did you first hear about our podcast? Just curious.
Well, it's the usual story, you know.
Spotify.
Yes, I was looking for a soundtrack on Spotify, and it was for Spyro the Dragon.
Oh, really?
And that's how
Sorry
I
about
found
that
you.
one. Actually, I'm not sorry. I
it's
stand by
okay.
what I said. So, 9-year anniversary, 9
Yeah.
out of 10 games. Something keeps it from being perfect. What is your submission?
Yes, it's a game from 2003 called Beyond Good and Evil.
Yep.
Oh.
It's an action-adventure game made by Ubisoft where you play Jade, who is a photojournalist who takes up the job working for a rebel group to uncover conspiracies. And why is it a 9 out of 10 game, you ask? Well, it has a very intricate story that has to do with like propaganda and activism and how you can affect like things in the society, but it's also about like good characters, like the main characters, Jane and Paige. They are an excellent couple. They work well together. They are friends, but they have this nice chemistry. It's also visually extremely good looking. Like it's from 2003, but it has like this aesthetic. Like it's very dark and cinematic, but it's not gray at all. It has all these vivid colors, and the music is just there are like 8 to 10 tracks. It's not a big score, but it's
That's surprising.
All the tracks are different and they fit their place very well, and they're very emotional.
This game comes up a lot when you like look for best video game stories. I see this title a lot when it comes to the story.
Another reason why it's 9 out of 10, isn't this the game that the sequel was pitched years ago? They even had a cinematic trailer. It looked really good. Fans were really excited, and now it's been like 5 years of silence.
That's my reason why it's only 9 out of 10. It's
okay.
the story. I won't go into spoiler territory, but there is a cliffhanger at the end of the game, and then it's 20 years since that game came out, and they have been working on the sequel, and the sequel has turned into a prequel, I think.
Oh no!
And
y'all got George R.R. Martin.
yeah, we got y'all good. Well,
Michael Ansel is
maybe
George
one day
R.
you'll
Martin.
get it, and it'll be a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, but I'm
until
also
then-
afraid because Ubisoft.
Oh,
and
we know about them. Well, thanks for your submission, Joe Pacoira, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, take care, and thanks for the amazing podcast.
No
I love you guys.
Hello, Psycho.
Hello, everyone.
Mantis, we're so glad that you are here, a part of this 9-year anniversary. You've been around for a while. When did you first join us?
I'd say about a year and a half ago is when I first started listening to NGP. I'm only about 180 episodes deep through the backlog so far.
Hey, that's good. That's good. And
are you gonna read my memory card and tell me what games I play?
Wow. Who is your favorite host?
Favorite host? I'm gonna go with Steve Harvey.
Okay, good. I like what you did there.
Same.
All right.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
Nice, Kenny. All right, your 9 out of 10 game submission. Let's hear your pitch.
All right, so I'm here today to share with you one of my favorite games called Lost Odyssey. It's a JRPG released in 2007 for the Xbox 360 by Mistwalker. It's a turn-based JRPG that bears some similarities in combat to Legend of Dragoon and has a similar feel to games like Final Fantasy VII and IX. It has composer Nobuo Uematsu and designer of the Final Fantasy series Hironobu Sakaguchi. The main character is Kaim. He's an immortal struggling to kind of gather his past because he has amnesia. He's trying to remember his past. He goes through a whole bunch of genres of that. Above all else, my favorite part of the game is a series called The 1000 Years of Dreams, which is a series of short stories spread out through the game. It is reading, though, so that's one of the negatives is for a 9 out of 10. Why it's not a 10 out of 10. I know not everybody loves to read, but I will implore you that if you do play the game, please read the stories because it adds a lot to the experience of the game. As well,
we are a pro reading podcast.
Yeah,
we stand for literacy, so bring it
on.
on.
I'm not ashamed to admit that some of these short stories have led me to tears when I was younger.
Oh,
that's amazing.
They're very incredible.
Really
I've never
good.
heard of this game ever.
Yeah,
which is
hold on. The thing that is sad here is that you're not going to get many entries because what you just described sounds like a 20 out of 10 game. Like all of those things sound so good to me. And yeah, I think I've like heard of this game, but I haven't heard of this game. Why haven't we heard of this game?
Well, some of the other negatives that could be in this game is the XP system in the game causes grinding difficult at times. That's one of the negatives of the game. Some people find it to be a derivative. Because it was on Xbox 360, a lot of people at the time that were fans of JRPGs had PS2s, and it has never been re-released, so it's not very accessible at all. It's another reason why it's kind of 9 out of 10 as far as accessibility goes, I'd say.
Okay.
Wow.
And the bosses have a lot of kind of puzzle elements to them where you kind of have to fight them in a certain way. So it can be frustrating for some people that don't want to play with a guide, that they may fail the first couple times they're in a fight till they figure out why they're failing. That can be frustrating for some as well.
Okay. Well,
this sounds like Dustin's gallon of tea.
Yeah, this is just. I mean, you named what? Legends of Dragoon, Final Fantasy VII. Also, some of the way that you started describing this makes me think of Shadow of Colossus with like the boss. Anyways, there's so much here. We'll definitely add it to the randomizer. Thanks for your submission and thanks for supporting the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Shane, welcome back to NGP. Good to have you around. 9-year anniversary. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Good.
Having
And
so much fun.
How's it going? How are you? Not the greatest questions, but we are thrilled.
It is the greatest question.
No, that's like, how did you sleep last night?
I want to know.
Poorly,
No
but
one
I'm
wants
glad
to
that
know.
you asked
Shane, how did
because
you
now
sleep
I
last
see.
night?
Now I feel seen and validated.
Ask Shane how he slept last night.
Shane, tell us how you slept, and then tell us about a 9 out of 10 game that you want us to play to start off this next year.
I slept all right last night, and my 9 out of 10 game is a movie game, which is generally a bad sign. And the title you guys have mentioned before is one of the worst, but it
Okay, bad start.
movie. It is a really good game that I easily think is worth 9 out of 10. It has some interesting cinematic framing to it with little or no AI. Has some environmental interaction. You even get to crack some T-Rex heads as the king himself. I played the Xbox version back in the day, I think, but I've heard like any of the older versions are fine. Like the Xbox 360 and PS3 aren't great, but the ones are good. But yeah, that's my...
Sorry, what's okay?
What?
This is Peter Jackson's King Kong,
Peter
the
Jackson's.
official game of the movie.
And listen to me, when I search it, the first link is a Reddit article that says Peter Jackson's King Kong, the game, is a hidden masterpiece.
Whoa.
So not just Shane thinks this.
Did Shane write the
Wait,
Reddit
wait,
post?
who wrote this? Shane.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
Shane, is there a good reason after playing this game that it's named that way? Like, are you shooting the film, or is there
Right.
no correlation?
I mean, it is a great adaptation of like a movie to a game. So, but I mean, I don't feel like there's a super positive reason for why it's named so weirdly.
What makes it okay? What keeps it from being a perfect game, though?
I mean, for me, mostly like it's a shooter, and shooter isn't my favorite genre generally, but it's just was a really cool game that I enjoyed.
Just going with
Okay.
a machine gun against King Kong.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Wow.
thank you for your submission. I feel like you've tried to get us to play this before. I feel like we've had people in our community that have definitely submitted this before. On,
For time's sake, though,
First
when we
Place.
add it, we'll just put PJKKTOGOTM.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for your search.
that's less of a mouthful.
All right. It's
Appreciate
entered
it.
in. Thank you.
Official WNBA, welcome to the official 9-year anniversary of NGP.
Swoosh.
Oh, how's it going?
Pretty good. Who's your favorite WNBA player?
Oh, and this better be good.
You know, I plead the fifth on that one.
Fair enough. Okay.
They've got to support all of them since they're the official WNBA. Can't have
That's true.
favorites.
You can't be biased. It's Caitlin Clark. What is your 9 out of 10 pitch for us today?
Tony Hawk Underground.
Oh, yeah.
Nolan almost
I
had
played
to
this
censor
game
himself.
to death. Okay, so explain why.
All right, I got 9 quick reasons. I was 9 or 10 when I got the game, about that age. It's a near perfect game except for the addition of vehicles. I don't know why they chose to throw that in there.
That's weird.
It's the only extreme sports game with a good story. It's got a good soundtrack. It's got good controls. It's got an epic intro. Good multiplayer. It's got the all-time best villain, Eric Sparrow. And then it's got a, roof-to-roof McTwist in Hawaii. Like, need I say more?
That's a great pitch.
That's it.
Do Tony Hawk games need villains? I was a little stuck there.
This one does. Yes.
It's crucial to the development of the story.
And Dustin, you cut him off. We got 8 of the reasons.
that was
not
8.
All 9.
You were counting.
That was 8. I was counting.
No, that
was that 9? Oh, then what we learned is that I can't count. No
Oh,
surprise.
and that's number 10.
Okay, but what's the 10th reason why it's not a 10?
The vehicle controls. That's the only.
Yeah, I don't remember vehicles.
That's my only critique. Yeah, there's like weird. You have to drive you have to drive a Zamboni at some point.
Oh,
that's ridiculous. There's things of that sort,
I do
like
remember that.
cars and weird, just random things they threw in there. That the handling's just terrible.
Okay. All right.
That's my only.
I had this game for
subtraction.
GameCube and played it to death. I love this game.
Oh, same here. I've front to back. You know, you can rip through it pretty quick in just like an afternoon. You know, it's a
It'll
good
be
game.
interesting to see how it lines up to my other Tony Hawk experience. 1, 2. I think that's really my only Tony Hawk experience. So, thank you for your submission, official WNBA, and we'll continue to support you and all of your players.
Hey, no
Especially
problem.
Clayton Clark.
Congrats on the 9 years.
Thanks so much.
Ken Gagney, welcome back to the podcast. Hey, I want to know this, honestly. Do you still listen to the show after all these years?
Every single week without fail.
That really means something because
Yeah.
you've been along for how many years?
My first time on this show was episode number 35 in May of 2016, so 8.5 years ago.
Ken, I don't know if we've got to give you more notoriety and credit. We don't often drop names, but we do. We speak about the original Day One crew, and I would say 30 episodes in is definitely
Absolutely.
a Day One.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The friend.
Well, you
of
know,
the show.
I still get a little tingle down my spine every time you mention my name. In fact, I figured out this past summer, instead of going right from the $1 Patreon level to the 10, I would go from the 1 to the 2 to the 5 to the 10, and every single week you'd be like, Ken increase his pledge again.
Nice, nice. Hey,
Good strat.
you wouldn't be the first to abuse our system to try to
play
get
the
us
system a little bit.
shut the name.
Yeah.
All right, Ken. Let's see if this is an Apple II game. What's your 9 out of 10 game? Give us your pitch.
So I'm not a one-trick pony. I do play other games. Okay. And from 1998 to 2004, I wrote a weekly newspaper column where I reviewed video games. Kenny, you're probably old enough to remember newspapers, right?
I do remember them.
Okay.
Nice.
So I took all 300 games I reviewed in those 6 years. I filtered them down to what earned a 9. And the game I'm pitching to you today is Metal Gear Solid VR Missions for the original PlayStation.
Wait, what?
Explain yourself.
So the original Metal Gear Solid game came out in 1998. It had 10 VR missions. This is a standalone disc in the United States that adds 300 more VR missions. So these missions test your sneaking, your weapon skills. It's got a variety of modes. It's all set in a holodeck-like setting, so just like green virtual grids. Some of the levels you're using different weapons against moving targets. Sometimes you're facing up against enemy soldiers. Sometimes you're limited on what weapons you're using. You can just try to finish the level. There's a time attack mode, so the replayability level is really high. There are some levels that are gauntlets where you're just trying to see how many enemies you can defeat in 1 minute. Other levels, you actually get to play as Gray Fox, the cybernetic ninja. But one of my favorite things about this game is that the Metal Gear Solid franchise has always had some tongue-in-cheek humor, but you usually have to look for it, like Johnny, the Russian soldier who poops, or the fact that you can hide in a cardboard box. This game, the humor is not subtle. Like, there are levels where you have to use Stinger missiles against enemy soldiers that are towering above you the height of Godzilla. And then there's a whole 10 sequence missions of murder mysteries where you have to figure out like who done it. For example, the level opens, there's a dead body at your feet, but the killer drops some evidence, that being a blue popsicle. And this is your only clue to figure out who the murderer is. It's ridiculous, it's hilarious, and the last murder mystery level culminates in everything you've learned in the base MGS game. And even if you haven't played that, if you play this one first, you're gonna level up all your skills, and you're gonna go into the original MGS a total pro. So I love this game.
This is an official release?
It came out from Konami when so Metal Gear Solid came out in like 97, 98, and then they released an enhanced version in Japan called Metal Gear Solid Integral, and it had some bonus content, including these 300 VR missions. All that bonus content, except for the VR missions, was already released in the United States when we got the base MGS game. So they just brought over the 300 VR missions by itself as a standalone disc a year later.
So this is like DLC before there's a DLC,
expansion,
and it's like challenge mode kind of versions of Metal Gear Solid gameplay.
That's a great way to put it.
And every mission is that green screen kind of like stripped down graphics experience?
Yeah, so the assets are pretty much either reused from the original game or pretty minimal. So that's one of the reasons I give this a 9. I do love this game because it doesn't have any of the laborious cutscenes. It's just the gameplay that we know and love from Metal Gear Solid. You can pick it up for a few minutes and not have to worry about pausing in the middle of a 90-minute narrative. But without all those twists and turns, I mean, that's really what Metal Gear Solid is known for. And so that's why I give it a 9 and not a 10, because it's not a full-fledged game.
Hey, great submission and one that's unique, and I don't know if we even knew about. So thank you for the submission. Even more thank you for being a part of our community for so long and for still listening to and supporting the show today.
Oh, my pleasure. Although I do have to say, I feel a little timid over the fact that of all your fantastic guests today, I'm the only one who's boring enough to use his full name.
No, you're the only one official enough. You got those creds.
Yeah, the person right before you was official WNBA, so there's a difference.
Yeah, so you gotta step it up a little bit.
Well, I will say, as of just this month, the United States Patent and Trademark Office issued me the official trademark for the name GameBits. So
nice. So you are certified and official.
Thank you, Mr. GameBits.
Thank you. And if you see any other GameBits out there, they're illegal. Report them immediately.
Will do.
Thank you.
Bye, Ken.
See you, Ken.
Unbelievable. Welcome to the 9-year anniversary episode. First up, we want to know, of all the games this year, year 9, what is the most surprising game that you've encountered on the podcast?
Oh man, I'd have to go back through the list.
This is so that we can catch people that haven't been listening to the show faithfully.
Yeah, we're really putting people on the spot intentionally to embarrass you or whatever else.
Humiliate.
I would say without a doubt, it's Hotel Dusk.
Ooh,
that
great
one.
answer.
I mean, I own a DS. I've owned lots of games for the DS, and I had no clue that game existed.
Right?
And that's such a
Same.
cool concept.
So good.
So fun.
Totally different, really a unique title. Great. Well, I'll get out of the way and let you bring your 9 out of 10 game pitch submission. What do you want us to start this year playing?
Okay. So in order to pitch my game, I need to ask you guys to place yourself in a specific moment in time. The year is 1998.
Okay, I'm there.
You are, well, I don't know how old you were in 1998, but I was 11 years old.
Like 62 or something, according to Dustin.
You are in a Blockbuster Video.
Absolutely.
You spot a GamePro magazine.
I see it.
The only video game magazine that you're subscribed to is Nintendo Power, and your parents won't let you get anything else, so that's all you got. And you see a GamePro magazine.
I'm reaching for it.
You pick it up, and you start thumbing through it, and you see a picture that is fuzzy, and it's sort of hard to figure out what's going on.
What?
That is Mario fighting Yoshi.
What?
Why?
And as a lifelong Nintendo fanboy, your brain melts out the back of your head.
And I'm dead.
I died. I woke up, snapped out of it.
Now, a few months go by, and that's all you've seen is this picture. And then you see a commercial featuring all of your favorite Nintendo characters in plushy costumes dancing through a field of flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And then they begin beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah, trying to kill each other. Yeah.
And what you realize is that picture you saw 6 months ago is a game that is about to come out. Yeah. And the world falls away, and you have reached the 7th level of Nirvana. That's where I was in 1999 when I found out that Super Smash Bros. Was about to become a game.
Hey.
And this is a game where, for me, the concept alone, especially when it released, is like a 12 out of 10. This is like mind-blowing for a kid in 1999. So, I mean, seriously, on concept alone, it's like a 12 out of 10, and I say it's a 9 out of 10, basically because Melee exists.
Yeah,
and that's
Super Smash Bros. Melee is an absolute hard 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And the original is, it's a slower paced game.
Yep.
It's a little more floaty. It's probably not as satisfying if you're like a big fighting game fan, but it's still one of the best party games that's ever been made. And in concept alone, it's just crazy, and it's spawned all these other party fighters now. All these different IPs have gotten into the space. So I think it's an easy 9 out of 10. One of the most solid 9 out of 10s that exists in my mind.
It's a 9 out of 10 for me because playing a fighting game or playing Smash even with that controller is pretty aging. Like back then we didn't think about it, but when you have the GameCube controller on Melee, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
We've added Smash to the list. Fingers crossed that we'll be smashing into our 10th year.
Hope so. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Hot Tim Ollies, welcome to the 9-year anniversary episode.
Hello, friends and retro gamers.
Welcome back, actually. What'd you pitch last year? If it's the same game, then it'll tell me.
No. Last year I pitched Yoshi's Island.
Yoshi's Island.
Yeah,
Which is what, a 10 out of 10?
I might give that an 8 out of 10.
Oh,
8 out of 10.
yeah, you gave it an 8.
Sticking with the theme, I like it. Well, we're just interested in what you think is a 9 out of 10 game for your submission this year. So hit us with your game.
All right. So I picked an action-adventure game that was released in 2006 by Capcom. It's often referred to as one of the best Zelda-like games. IGN, Eurogamer, Game Informer, and Metacritic all place it around 9 out of 10, and that game is Okami.
Wait, what?
Oh.
Oh, Okami. Yes, yes. I know the dog game.
Yes, so actually, one of my favorite things about this game is that the name is a pun. Okami can actually either mean great god or wolf in Japanese.
Love.
And as you play this game, you are like the reincarnation of the sun goddess Amaterasu, and you are going throughout the land of Nippon and trying to stop the evil eight-headed demon Orochi and the blight that he has placed on the land.
I've seen this game mentioned so many times on lists. I don't know what list it is, but I feel like it had to do with like the art design or story or something like that.
I've seen it on best game of all time.
Best
list
game
on
of
like
all
Metacritic.
time. Goodness
Yeah,
gracious.
it's always up there.
It's
for
often
sure.
been
'Cause the
referred...
graphic style, right?
Yes, the graphic style. It's been referred to as one of the greatest games that show that a video game can be an art form.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Did you clarify why 9 and not 10?
So just two more quick reasons of why I give it 9. Like we've been saying, the graphics. One of the main mechanics is that you use a paintbrush to kind of like draw to do attacks, or maybe make the sun come up or the moon come out to change the time of day, kind of like the Zelda mechanics are. And that's also kind of the reason why I can't exactly give it 10 out of 10 is because sometimes you're going to use one of those like brush strokes and it might not hit. You have to do a cutscene over again with a boss, and it's just like, come on, I should have gotten that this time. Which it was a lot like that with the older releases on PlayStation 2 and Wii, but it's been updated for PlayStation 3, for the Nintendo Switch, which actually on the Switch they have it where you can use the touchscreen to draw now, which is a really nice feature.
Switch has a touchscreen?
Does. Okay, sick. Well, thanks for the submission. I don't have preference. This is a randomizer, but I'm glad it's in there. Let me just say
for
that.
sure.
I'm glad it's in the list. So thanks for submitting Hot Tamales.
Thanks. It's certainly a game that some people have missed, and I hope everyone gets the chance to try it. So thanks for having me and let me pitch, guys.
It's the superest gamer guy in our community, at least, but definitely the superest gamer guy that I know. What are you currently playing in IRL?
Ooh, I just finished Resident Evil 4 Remake, and so I am currently playing the DLC right now, Separate Ways.
Nolan,
I
weren't you
gotta get
playing
back into that.
Yeah, Nolan, weren't you going through all the Resident Evils?
Yeah, and then the remake came out. It kind of lined up perfectly, and I started the remake, and then like something else. I think PoE started a season, and so I dropped it. But I'll get back to it.
All right, super. I'm assuming it's not Resident Evil 4 or even Resident Evil. I don't know. It might be a Resident Evil game. What's your 9 out of 10 game? Give us your pitch.
Fortunately, it's not Remake because it's not old enough, or that would be here. But let me set the stage for you all. So the year is 2008. You're browsing YouTube when you see a trailer for a brand new game come across your screen. Bright, flashy visuals quickly lead into varied level design and a rockin' soundtrack. To top it all off, this is the first real game in a decade that Capcom's made for the series. This will surely blow those old NES games out of the water. But when you buy the game later that year, you find out there's no slide or charge shot. Oof, that's gotta be a Mega Man 9 out of 10.
Oh, Mega Man 9?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so still considered classic Mega Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Part of the classic.
But no slide, legitimately?
I didn't know that.
Or charge shot.
So I'm assuming those are the two big ones that bump it down a notch.
Yep.
for you
Yeah,
from-
that's a really
Yeah.
weird decision.
I haven't played 9, but despite those two things, Super, I have heard that 9 is incredible.
Yes, it's considered as one of the best games in the classic section.
Okay, but are you nervous bringing that to these two buffoons after Mega Man 3?
I am,
That was-
but
Same.
6 or 7 years ago, they liked Mega Man 2 quite a bit, even without
We
those.
played.
so.
Listen, we've also played a lot of other classic Mega Mans. We played Mega Man 5, which I thought might be the best classic Mega Man. And look, we played a lot. Mega Man 9. It seems like it's classic, but you said it was what? Did you say 10 years after the?
Yes, the last game in the classic series at that point would have been Mega Man
So
and Base
interesting.
on the Super Nintendo in '98.
Okay. All right. It doesn't have the blue bird. I forget what it's called.
I
Blue
think
birds.
it has Beat in it. I know Mega Man 10 does. I
Oh,
can't
well,
remember
then
it.
that's a 10 out of 10. All right, Super, thank you for being
Thanks,
a part
Super.
of the community, always active in our community. Thank you for submitting Mega Man 9.
Thank you all for having me.
Anthony, welcome to the anniversary episode. Get us started by letting us know what the first video game you ever remember playing is.
Oh gosh, first video game
Ever.
ever. It's probably a toss-up between Super Smash Bros. Melee and the Mega Man 15th Anniversary Collection. I distinctly remember watching my cousin play Mega Man 2, and that was one of my first gaming
I
memories.
remember that anniversary collection. I had it.
Those are some classic
Yeah.
titles. You started off on a good foot. Well, let us know what your 9 out of 10 game pitch is for a game that you'd like to see us start this next year with.
Well, my game pitch is Mega Man X Command Mission, also one of my early fundamental gaming memories.
Another Mega Man game, okay?
All right.
Never heard of that one.
Fun.
And Nolan, the Mega Man boy, has not heard of that one.
No, I haven't.
Give us more.
Yeah, why is it a 9 out of 10?
All right. So, okay, why is it 9 out of 10? Almost everything about it is perfect, obviously. That's why it's 9 out of 10. But the story at the very, very end, there's a part where honestly it probably should have just stopped. But they decided to just they pushed forward just a little bit too much to where it was like you didn't have to add this, and you took a character, did something you didn't like with them, and the final boss was fine, but it really could have just ended like on a very different note.
Wait, you've left out something huge. It's a turn-based role-playing
Probably.
game?
Yes, it
Dustin,
is.
It's a
It
turn-based
is-
RPG.
it is a JRPG.
I am about to get obsessed.
Yo.
Wait, Mega Man has
Okay.
done it all. They did
Yeah,
so
they've tried
many
at least
different
everything.
things.
Yeah.
You racing, soccer, you know, Battle Network, a shooter. Yeah. No, if Mega Man Soccer is bad, don't play it.
That's still so
I
funny.
swear it's bad. Oh, it's hilarious. But no, the racing game I heard was actually pretty good. Battle and Chase, I heard it was pretty decent.
Battle and Chase is a great. Yeah. Okay. So anything else on Command Mission? I guess it's attached to the X series.
It's a spin-off of the X
which
series,
is great.
Yeah.
Well,
so it is a non-canonical to the main story. Is essentially it takes place where the Mega Man Zero game should take place. So it's like, what if the Elf Wars, which doesn't make much sense,
No, I know what
happened? What if? Okay, cool. What if X basically just continued for another 100 years to the point where Sigma isn't even mentioned at all? He doesn't show up at all. It's this other guy. It's crazy. But yeah, the gameplay is awesome. It takes a little bit from Final Fantasy X,
Dustin.
with like its turn-based system, and then how you're able to change your your characters out mid combat, and the customization is interesting. It's not like a sphere grid or anything like that, but it's more like changing and swapping parts.
That's
It's
great.
really cool.
Sick,
That's
dude.
brilliant.
That's so sick.
I'm glad that you brought it down to a 9 to make it a part of this show, but I'm excited
like a
to.
10, yeah.
At some point, hey, in Patreon polls or whatever, we got to play this soon. If it's not this one, so
It's not on. It's not on your Master Retro list either. I looked as soon as I heard about this. I was like, where do I add this on there? It's not on there. It needs to be on there.
it's probably in part because it wasn't yet available to be
Eligible, yeah,
played
that's
when we
true.
started the podcast. So at some point it just
Yeah,
didn't
that's
get out.
true. That's true. Because
Yeah.
it's 2004.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your submission, Mega Man X Command for your mission for your submission, Mega Man X Command mission.
Yes.
Gaming Druid, welcome back to the show. 9-year anniversary this time.
Yeah, man, I am pumped. I'm so excited I was able to be at it at the last minute. Today's my birthday, and this is the best birthday
Happy
gift possible.
birthday.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm excited to pitch my idea to y'all.
Yeah, we're honored to be a part of your B-Day. So give us a gift, actually, instead, and tell us your submission. 9 out of 10 game.
Yeah, so I could not, with a good conscience, do Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories again like I had in the past because I love that game. It's kind of bad, so
Okay.
I couldn't with a good conscience. But so I'm doing Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, which is a great game.
That's also
the
a 10
remake.
out of 10, so I'm curious to hear how you're going to spin this.
Well, yeah. You know, I'm kind of one of those people. It's like I'm kind of weird in that I'm not really sure that I'd give like any game a 10 out of 10, like
Okay.
just because like I always find stuff. But anyways, so this is a fantastic game. The remake just came out, did really well. Came out on the GameCube in 2004. I think it's a tragedy that the only Paper Mario game y'all have played is Super Paper Mario, which like I like that one. I think it's good. But compared to the first two, which are, turn-based as opposed to Super Paper Mario's action RPG elements, I think that Paper Mario is just better turn-based, and it's a simple turn-based fun, interesting characters, so good. And there's just something really special about Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door that I think make it, in my opinion, it is the best Mario RPG, period. I mean, you take it up against Super Mario RPG on the SNES, which I love that game. I know Dustin wasn't crazy about it back in the day, but I love it. And the Mario and Luigi games are great too. But Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door is just phenomenal. The way that you do the button input presses, like to press A or B at the right time. The badge system from the first game comes back, and it just adds a lot of depth to an otherwise seemingly simple game. It's like it just doesn't take much thought to get into it. Sometimes it's like the thought of playing a JRPG can be like such a draining thing. But like I'm going to pick up and play Paper Mario, like either it or Thousand Year Door. It's just so refreshing, so simple. I love it, man.
It sounds like you're explaining a 10 out of 10 game, though.
Yeah, well, there are some things, especially the original GameCube version has unskippable cutscenes.
Yeah,
and
that's a big one. Famous
Yes.
one.
Yeah, and like at the end, there's a decent chance you'll die against the final boss, and there's like a 10-minute unskippable cutscene.
The companions in that game were always memorable for me. They're so fun and good.
Yeah, no, they're phenomenal.
That's a great submission, Gaming Druid. So appreciate your time today. Thanks for bringing it to us.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. I think that whatever you guys get, it'll be special as long as it's not that Shrek game.
Why does everyone know about the Shrek game? Someone's
And
up there talking about it.
happy birthday to us.
Yes,
and
everybody.
Druid.
Oh,
See you,
thanks so
buddy.
much, man.
See ya.
Harold, welcome back to the show. You've been a part of the community for some time now. In fact, how many years has it been?
Oh, wow. I should have looked that up. Several years.
Several
than
years. You don't know when did you find out? How did you find out about us?
I looked for a Final Fantasy VII podcast on Spotify.
Okay, so
Oh,
we're
I
friends.
bet there's a bunch of them now.
And I do
Well, yeah.
remember at that time you just released the Metal Gear Solid 2 episode. And I was like, no way, that is
Okay,
retro.
so it's been a minute.
So that's, I don't know. 4
Oh
years?
yeah, it put perspective to you that it was actually. Well, maybe you're saying you still don't think it's retro, but by our standards, it was.
I have accepted it, and I think you are one of one of the first people that really made me feel aged.
Mortality.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we're feeling it too. So, take some pain reliever for your lower back and give us your pitch for your 9 out of 10 game.
Well, the game that I picked is a game that I played a lot on my Super Nintendo with my brother when we were growing up, and I thought it was a really hard game at the time. But we managed to finish it. It's one of the first games that we together managed to finish, passing the controller to each other. I think it's a beautiful game, excellent soundtrack, and often overlooked maybe in the conversation when we talk about the franchise this game is from. I'm just going to say the name. The name is Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. The reason why I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 game is because I do, even though I haven't revisited it in a while, I do remember one sound effect really, really annoying me. That is the sound of a baby crying.
Dude.
Non-stop, right?
I'm glad you said it. It's the noise itself, but it also means that you have to rush and stress to go get him back.
Yeah, it's you have to do it, else the sound won't
It's
stop.
triggering.
Yeah.
I've heard really good things about this game, and I don't think that I've played it, which is just the weirdest thing.
That is wild. Kenny, you definitely didn't play it then, huh?
I don't think
Now,
so.
why
Man, that
Super
would be a
Mario
good
World,
episode.
right? Huge. Why
Yeah.
wasn't 2 near the legendary status? I mean, maybe
I
we'll find
guess
that
because
out.
the setup was different.
Yeah.
It's not the same game.
Would
at all.
Nintendo be doing that? Changing things up?
They do. They try things, and it's usually for good.
So,
not always.
Harold, 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for the baby cry?
I think that would about summarize it. Yeah.
I feel like that's life as well. Same reasonings.
Wisdom.
Thank you for your submission. Thank you for being a part of the community for so long, and thank you for Final Fantasy VII bringing us together.
And to close off our episode, we have a pre-recorded submission from our good friend Garlisle, who's such a core part of the community. Let's take a listen to his 9 out of 10 submission.
Hey guys, Retro Recaps Not Dustin here, by which I mean Garlisle. 9 years is a hell of a long time to do a podcast. And speaking of hell, did y'all notice this anniversary is happening in sync with the most wicked time of year, Halloween? So I'm bringing you all some demons, some witchcraft, and in true Halloween fashion, revealing costumes. That's right, just barely squeaking past the 15-year threshold is Bayonetta. Created by the same mind behind Devil May Cry, Bayonetta blew my mind as a kid. Looking back, I can see the flaws that make it just a 9 out of 10. Like it could have had better boss fights, its ranking system is pretty broken, and a couple just bad stages definitely drag it down. But that would ignore the fact it also has a gorgeous soundtrack, fantastic art design, incredible sense of style, one of my favorite main characters of all time, and is still the gold standard by which I measure all other character action games to this day. And hey, good news, while it was originally an Xbox 360 title, it has seen ports to many things since, including an incredible PC port that will make it super easy to play. So here's hoping you get to experience one of the all-time greats. And if not, I look forward to seeing what other near masterpieces the community has brought instead.
Should we all take turns saying the name of the game in the same way that that sound?
I can't be that sexy. We could try.
Oh, I can be that sexy, just not on the podcast.
I don't want to hear you. I know about the game for a long time, right? But every time I tried to like make sense of it, I couldn't. It looks like chaos, and
sounds like Devil May Cry.
Yeah, actually, it's got a lot of Devil May Cry aspects. I think I've never played it, but I would love to try it out. And Bayonetta finally made it into the Smash Brothers roster not that long ago.
Bayonetta.
No, I didn't want you to do it. I asked. No.
That worked for me.
That was fun.
A massive thank you to everyone who was a part of the episode today. We had to limit the amount of call-ins. I believe when we first started this, we didn't. And then last year we did. And we had to limit it a little bit more this year. And the speed with which you signed up for this call-in was outstanding. It also makes me nervous for next year.
I know. Next year we're going to have to do, I don't know. We're just going to have to block out more time, and you're going to have to be okay with the 5-hour episode.
It's also it's 10 years, so we got to do something crazy next year.
I know. It's going to be...
We'll do something unique and fun for next year.
We'll do something shocking. I'll jump off a building or something.
Please no.
Don't do that.
It'll be safe. It'll be a controlled environment.
Each of the submissions either received 1, 2, or 3 entries based on the quality of the presentation. From that list that you've just listened to, we are randomizing now and setting the tone for Season 10 of New Game Plus. I'm going to give you the information about the game. I'm going to give you the name of the game, and then you're going to tell me, based on that, what Season 10 is going to be like for us.
Okay.
Okay. I like it.
1999. I really can't give any more information away without Nolan and others knowing what this game is. But imagine with me that it's the year 1999 and you walk into a Blockbuster and you see a magazine and you open it and people are punching each other. We are playing a crossover fighting game developed by HAL Laboratory, published by Nintendo for the Nintendo 64. It was the start of this kind of thing and this specific franchise and series. We are playing a game submitted by Unbedavable. The game is Super Smash Bros.
Kenny, what kind of year do you think that means it's going to be?
I mean, we're about to have one of the best years of our lives.
Whoa. Nolan?
I think we're going to have an okay year.
And I think we're going to have a year of contention and infighting.
Good
interpretation.
I'm gonna jump off the building.
Okay.
No,
Don't do it.
Find a copy of Super Smash Bros. Play it along with us this week, and please not only send in your thoughts and commentary on the game, but please send in your care and concern to Nolan. It sounds like he needs it. Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64. Now, for the next few days, for the rest of this week, actually, on the release of this episode, we have for you an all-time sale on our New Game Plus merchandise. We have 2 shirts that we've been pitching all throughout the year based on 2 of the games that we played in Season 8. And it's Castlevania and it's Portal. We've got a shirt themed on both of those that are available in our Shopify store. You can find that link in the show notes and everything else. 30% off this week. 30% off.
Pretty good deal.
This week. And then they will no longer be available. We are shutting down that store for now. 30% off. All you need is this keyword, NGP9 at checkout. That's NGP, the number 9 at checkout. And you can get 30% off both shirts, all the shirts, good while supplies last.
It's not a Roman numeral, Kenny.
It's not. It's
not.
The number 9, NGP9 at checkout. Thanks for checking those shirts out.
Today, this event all took place in our Discord server. It is quite literally the hub for NGP, and we want you to be a part of the community. It's really easy. It's free. All you have to do is go to discord.gg/newgameplus to get invited.
As always, we want to say thank you to the many of you who have shown your support for this show. So many of you we just got to speak to. Some of you weren't even able to make it, and we'll look forward to speaking to you next time. But to you, our community, we say thanks once again. That includes our director-level supporters, Bill R., Brojim, Super Hypered, and Siegfried. And our many, many producer-level supporters, including Alex, Marlene, Antonin, Ben, Craig, Dustin's 5 O'Clock Shadow, Garlisle, Guardian, Cade, Hallex, Harold, Hey Brother, J. Robert, Jake, Jordan, George Banks, Justin, Clint, Levi, Maxima, Megatroid, Miss Muso, Not Enough Dog, Retro Man, Sagen, Sasser, Scotty, Shane, Shauna, Snigmatic, Psychomantis, Thomas Tins, Turtle, Unbelievable, and Zion. We appreciate you guys all so very much. You're all 9 out of 10s in our book.
Wow. You can find us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you're the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our episode artwork was created by our friend Dave. Our video episode was edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Join us next week as we start Season 10 with Super Smash Bros. Until then, I'm still 9.
I'm also 9. I got nothing. You put me on the spot.
Doing a podcast with 2 9-year-olds.
you have
legal
to.
reasons I'm saying that.
This has been 9 Game Plus.